here's what we believe. All of our students have some sort of value that they can offer. A lot of times they just need our help to help bring that out in them, develop it, market it, so they can take it to the marketplace and turn their passion into their paycheck. A lot of times they don't see it. You ask a group of students, how many of you consider yourself to be a salesperson? I ask you, how many of you ever consider yourself to be a salesperson? And then you re-ask the question, how many of you have ever convinced your parents to buy you something? It's welcome to the sales department, right? I remember everybody's selling something, right? I was in the mall with my daughter. She said, Daddy, do you want to go to Starbucks before or after lunch? Either way, what she get? It's not a matter of if we're going, it's when. Is it before or after lunch? They're brilliant in the way they phrase this stuff, and they never took a course on sales or overcoming objections. I remember Friday night game night at the school. She wants to stay out later than we're going to let her. They don't come out and ask straight up. I came home, the house is clean. Dinner's cooked. Table's set. Here's how I know something's wrong. She's happy. She's grinning so wide she could eat a banana sideways. I said, what's wrong? She said, oh, nothing. Let me make your plate. Now we know something's up, right? She said, look, Daddy, tonight I have an extraordinary opportunity. In fact, you're going to be excited for me. I said, what is it? How many of you, your kids, have ever used your own words against you to get what they want? That's a sales technique. You may not know that, where you take someone else's words and give it back to them. Unfortunately, my words are in writing. She has a copy of both books. She's read them cover to cover, notes in the margin, highlighted words, not because they're great books, which they are. She's read them so she can use my words against me. See, in these books, we're telling students, you can't, in middle school, high school, doesn't matter where you are, you got to get out there, meet people, build relationships, network. She says, Dad, tonight at the game, I'm getting out there. She said, I'm meeting people. I'm building relationships. She said, I'm going to put them in my network. She said, but tonight, I need to stay out just a little bit later to make this happen for us. And as parents, we call it manipulation. I've got good news for you and your students. The marketplace calls it sales, and it is a marketable skill most of them possess. The truth is, they've been convincing people of stuff for years. They probably got 15, 16, 17 years of sales experience, but maybe they never thought about it quite like that. And the good news is, we believe they have so much more to offer. That's where we come in, to help pull it out of them. And we've seen a wide range of students. I have students, I went up to a student one time after the presentation. I said, hey, what'd you think of my presentation? He said, man, it was great. He said, but I don't need it. I said, why you say that? He said, well, I'm going to be an engineer. I said, that's cool. Let me ask you a question. When you graduate from college with your engineering degree and you go to interview with a company, guess what the other 30 people that day are going to have? He said, what? I said, they're going to have an engineering degree. The last question they ask in every interview is, why should we hire you? I speak the language. I said, if you don't have a good story, you're going to be OTD. He said, what's that? I said, out the door. And you know what they tell you on the way out the door? Hey, thanks for coming in today. We're going to hold on to your resume and we will call you. And you know what that means? You will never hear from us again. And then we see another type of student. Some we got to pull a little bit back to earth. Here's the unfortunate thing. Many of them we're having to pick up off the ground. I had a guy call me. He said, Brooks, you got to help me. He said, I need a job. I said, well, tell me why you don't have one. He said, I'm slow. I said, what you mean you slow? You slow moving or slow thinking? He said, both. I'm on the phone with this guy for a few minutes. Guess what he's been told all his life since he was this high? He's been told he's slow. He gets into the interview. Kid's so honest. One of the first things that comes out of his mouth is, I said, you're never going to say that again. I said, you're not slow, you learn differently. Reminded me of the kid that wanted to be a sheriff deputy. Gets all the way in front of the sheriff for a little interview. Sheriff's got a series of questions. Question number 1, what's 1 and 1? The kid said, 11. Sheriff scratching his head. He said, well, he's not exactly wrong. Because if you put a 1 and a 1 together, what you got? He said, you got an 11. And we need people in this department who can think a little bit differently. Outside the box. Question number 2. What 2 days of the week start with the letter T? That kid said today and tomorrow. This kid's good. Third question. He said, who assassinated Abraham Lincoln? He said, I don't know. He said, you work on it and come see me. That guy ran out of the sheriff's department, skipped across the street to the barber shop where his buddies are getting their hair cut. He goes in there. They said, how'd the interview go? He said, great. You're not going to believe this. First day on the job, I'm on a murder case. Now we call that the gap. Sometimes there's a gap between where they think they are and where they are. And without pouring ice water on their dreams, we come in line with the things that they're able to do and the possibilities that are out there being realistic.
I have the opportunity to hire several keynote speakers a year. And when I was thinking about hiring Brooks, I wasn't sure exactly if he would be the best fit for our group. But after hearing him one time, I was hooked on what he delivers to our teachers and our students across the state of North Carolina, and I highly recommend what he does.
He was like a breath of fresh air. I laughed, I cried. He was very, very good. I would recommend any of his sessions or books to anyone.
Very much enjoyed Brooks's presentation here at the 2016 CTE conference. It did hit the heart, the brain, and the funny bone. He is a very excellent presenter, and his material is just dead on for what we need here at the conference. And he is such an inspirational speaker, it's just almost unbelievable. Great presentation.
Today, Brooks Harper gave a talk at our opening session for our summer conference. And normally when I've attended conferences before, the opening speaker tends to be very cliched and, it tends to be a normal opening speech. But Brooks was really informational. He was funny. He was able to keep me interested the entire time.
Our theme this year is do what you love and love what you do, and it's obvious that Brooks Harper does that. He's a great keynote. You remember what he says, you remember his stories, and he brings a lot of laughter to the presentation.